Hey, it seems like you stumbled across my review of the SM27 because that is now what you're watching. This microphone costs $350. Full disclosure, I bought it with my own money. All of my recording settings will be listed in the doobly-doo lower third and description. And now let's talk about what comes in the box. What a surprise, you get the microphone, a microphone pouch, a shock mount, which does have a 5/8 to 3/8 inch microphone stand adapter, and a tiny bit of documentation, a cable tie, and yes, even a sticker. Then as far as the build quality, this thing feels fantastic. It has an all-metal body as well as a very firm metal mesh grill with no give to it. I was squeezing it so hard that it imprinted on my finger, still no denty dent. On the front of the microphone, you have nothing. On the back, you have two switches. The first is for a 115 or 80 Hz high-pass filter. The second is for a -15 decibel pad. On the bottom, you have the XLR port, and whether you care or not, the mic that I got was made in Mexico. I'm not going to read the specs to you, but I will have them listed in the description down below, and I'll also have the graphs that I could find up on screen in case you want to pause and take a closer look at any of the information. Now I'm spinning around the SM27 to 90 degrees, and there we are. Continuing around to 180 degrees, this is the rear. Continuing around to the second 90-degree angle, there it is. And then rotating and ending at the front of the microphone. Next, let's see how the SM27 handles plosives. Please provide prepared pizza pronto pals. Please prepare pee-pee poo-poo. And please prepare pizza pronto pals. I swear that every time I make a video, I actually get dumber. Now I am right on top of the microphone to exaggerate the proximity effect, and here's how it's sounding. Now about 6 inches off with it pointed at the corner of my mouth, and here's how it sounds. Now about 1 foot away from the SM27, about 2 feet away from the SM27, and about 4 feet away from the Shure SM27. Now I'm typing on a keyboard with Gatoron blue switches to see how much of my voice versus how much of the keyboard it picks up. And for the gamers, now I'm typing on the SAD W and spacebar keys. Now here's how the SM27 sounds about 6 inches away from my mouth in a relatively well-treated room. And now here's how the mic sounds about 6 inches away from my mouth in a completely untreated room. Now I want to see how effective the provided shock mount is, so I'll start by tapping on my desk to see how much of that it can reject. And then I will tap on the boom arm. Next, what do you say I tap on the body of this microphone to see if there are any kind of resonances? Now I'm right on top of the microphone to exaggerate the proximity effect. As the rain and wind tries to blow my house down, the high-pass filter is off. Now I have switched on the first high-pass filter. Here's how it sounds. I believe this is 6 dB per octave at 115 Hz. And now I've turned on the second high-pass filter, which is 18 dB per octave at 80 Hz, so much more aggressive. And let's go ahead. That is the first high-pass filter. And now the high-pass filter is off. Now let's see how the -15 dB pad is engaged. So currently it is off. Now I have turned it on. It is very windy outside. Let's turn the pad off, back to normal, and again, -15 dB pad. There you go. That is how it's engaged and disengaged. Now let's do a whole bunch of spoken word mic comparisons so we can hear how this sounds against the competition. Starting on the SM27, 6 inches off with no pad and no filters, running directly into the Universal Audio X8, gain is set at 33 decibels. Let's hear the first mic. First up, I'm on the Audio Technica AT2020, 6 inches off, gain still set at 33 decibels. Check the lower third to see how much I boost each of these in post. This microphone costs about $100. Let's go back to the Shure and do some more. Back on the SM27 for a palate cleanser, here's how it sounds. Let's move on. Next, I'm on the Neat King Bee version 2, again, 6 inches off, gain still at 33 decibels. This doesn't have a pad or a filter. This microphone costs about $170, and here is how it sounds compared to the SM27. Here's another sample on the Shure SM27. Nothing has changed. Let's go to the next mic. Now I'm on the Rode NT1 5th Gen, about 6 inches off with the gain still set at 33 decibels. This again doesn't have any pads or filters. This mic costs about $250. It is XLR or USB, and here is how the NT1 sounds compared to the Shure. Here is another palette cleanser on the SM27. What a big surprise. Let's move on. Next, I'm on the Lewitt LCT440, 6 inches off, gain still at 33 decibels. Again, this mic doesn't have any pads or filters. This costs about $270, and here is how this sounds compared to the SM27. Let's do 4 more. We are over the hump. Here is another palette cleanser on the SM27. Check the lower third. Let's go on. Now I'm on the Sennheiser MK4, 6 inches off, gain still at 33 decibels. You shouldn't be surprised. No pad, no filters engaged. This microphone costs about $350, and that is the Sennheiser MK4. Let's go back to the 27 and do a couple more comparisons. Here is the SM27 again. I know I have the same inflection on every palette cleanser. Let's move on. Next up, I'm on the Shure KSM32, 6 inches off with my gain still set at 33 decibels. There are no pads and no filters engaged. This microphone costs between $600 and $650, and here is how the SM27's bigger brother sounds compared to it. Let's do 2 more. Here is your penultimate palette cleanser on the SM27. That's a lot of P's. Let's go to the second to last microphone. Next, I'm on the Shure KSM32, 6 inches off, say it with me, gain still at 33 decibels. Cardioid polar pattern, no pad, no filters. This microphone costs about $1,000, and here is how the SM27's even bigger brother sounds like compared to it. 1 more, let's do it. And here is the final palette cleanser on the SM27. Here is how it sounds. Let's go to the last microphone right. Now I am on the Neumann, hello Neumann, U87 Ai, 6 inches off, gain still at 33 decibels, cardioid polar pattern, no pad, no filters engaged. This microphone costs about $3,700, so quite a bit more than the SM27, more than 10 times the cost of the SM27. That is enough of this test of this, what is it called? My brain just died on me. Restart. Let's move on. This song sounds so damn sad. They always seem to end that way. But I'm just forced to go wherever the chords lead. Honestly, I just sit there and play the guitar until I like a riff, and it just so happens all the riffs I like nowadays are super duper depressing. And I don't want to think about what that says about me. So let's run away from our feelings and go to the conclusion. All right, as far as applications go, I would classify this as a very respectable studio workhorse mic. And first up, as far as pros, I would say that this microphone generally sounded pretty good on every sound source I tried it on. It also has a really high max SPL at over 150 dB if you have the pad engaged. It has a relatively low self-noise at below 10 dBA. The mic is well built just like most Shure microphones and doesn't have any kind of resonances if you tap on it, and the shock mount is pretty effective. But then as far as cons, I found that the microphone wasn't the most forgiving in terms of background noise or reverb rejection. It just picked up a little bit more of that than I would have liked. It also wasn't the greatest at plosive rejection, so you need to be careful there or just use a pop filter. I also found that the boost in the treble frequencies led to this mic sounding a bit on the sibilant side, so if you have a super sibilant voice, this may not be the best fit, and regardless, with this mic, I think a de-esser may be one of your best friends. And I say this pretty much any time I don't get one. It is wishful thinking. I wish it didn't just come with a shock mount. I wish it also came with a microphone clip, because that makes using a microphone in a tiny space like an ISO cab so much easier. And now, what are my overall thoughts and opinions of the Shure SM27? As far as the overall sound, I think this offers a supportive low end, but it's not overdone. Then you get a generally neutral midsection with a boost in the presence region, and then you also have this lift in the treble and air, which gives it this nice detailed top end. On the electric guitar, I thought it worked well. I liked the good bass response, and I also liked the clear top end, which didn't come across too brittle or harsh. On the acoustic guitar, I thought it worked really well. My favorite part was the detailed and articulate top end. I thought it really flattered the acoustic there. For singing vocals, I like the support in the low end and the clear midsection, but I mainly like the push in the presence and treble region because that makes the vocal sound clear and exciting, but that push isn't the smoothest. That upper end does have a tiny bit of grit to it. Finally, for spoken word, I think this works really well. It is utilitarian. You get a bit of support in the low end, but it isn't muddy. It isn't overdone. The mids are clear. And then you get that boost in the presence and treble region, which makes it sound articulate and gives you this nice detailed sound. And to wrap up, would I recommend the SM27? Kind of. I think this microphone makes for a great studio workhorse microphone, and what I mean by that is I don't think it's the greatest sounding mic on any sound source in particular, but it does seem to sound good on everything that I tried it on. It's built well, and it comes from a company that is tried and true. So if you like the sound of this microphone and you're looking for an all-purpose mic for your studio, I think this is a really nice option. Couple of caveats though, if you're using this microphone in a room with a ton of background noise or an untreated space and you don't want to pick that up, it may not be the best option because it was pretty unforgiving there. And also, if you have a lot of plosives, if you don't have great microphone technique, just make sure to use a pop filter on this thing because it doesn't do the best at rejecting air hitting the diaphragm.